A viewer observed that I always use flowers and nature when discussing my views, when they have nothing to do with the problems being discussed. That's a good point. My answer is simply this: human nature. When I use faces in videos, people then become locked onto the face, and rarely can they see or hear anything beyond the face. We have been indoctrinated to see situations in terms of race, sex, nationality, violent content, political views, religion, physical features, wealth affiliations, geopolitical influence, and so on. The issues seems incidental. One lady said to me the other day that in her opinion, black people are always lazy and dependent on government for handouts. So I asked, how many black friends do you have? She said none. Because why should she, since she's not tolerant of lazy people who live on government handouts? Black leaders exploit the perceptions of black people, and white people use these perceptions to invoke hate and dissent, which of course sells products. Was I being overly simplistic? How you personally feel, of course, starts with you. I don't use faces because I don't want the audience to judge based on faces, but on the merits of what I'm talking about. Think about that for a minute. Today, as you look at these natural scenes, please think along with me on the problems of veterans. Recently, in a talk show, an expert was selling the idea why, as Americans, it's up to us to solve the world's problems. As he rattled off the statistics as to how many Americans would die in any given conflict, and about the advantages of our economic gains, etc., a caller called into the show and asked, "How many wars have you been in? How many body bags have you carried? How many arms and legs have you placed into plastic bags?" The expert was stopped for a minute because he never really saw war on such personal levels. After all, for many people who have never seen war, the men and women who fight wars are expendable, as one vice president said. I don't see men and women who fight wars as being expendables. I see them as human beings, real people. And when they come home, they then become veterans, having fought the war, and not, as some people would say, burdens on society. Yes, I do take it personally. Unlike the rich with political connections who keep buying new hearts, I continue to use the one heart that I have. My fellow veterans are not expendable. I care about them. They are human beings. So, allow me to discuss just one problem. How do you help veterans who want to help themselves? And you say, well, if they want to help themselves, why do they need help? And I say, wanting to help oneself and actually doing it are two different things. You say there are already far too many programs out there wasting taxpayers' money on veterans. And I say, what is the use of having 1 million programs if nobody knows anything about them? How to access them? How to apply what is already out there, and finally, understanding the red tape required to gain help with these programs. I believe that a lot of these programs are designed to give the appearance of being beneficial without actually helping. Sort of like charities that are designed to be self-serving and not to help their benefactors. There are millions of those, too, that you contribute to. These so-called veteran programs are designed to provide employments for those who are employed in such programs, but not necessarily to help veterans. Think about this for a minute. What if each employee in such programs were required to help a minimum of 10 veterans every day? Would they keep their job? And fortunately, from where I sit, I think they would keep their job because they're not required to push people. They're required to push paper, and they are entrenched in that seat of theirs. I would love to see the budget of any one of these programs to see the ratio between administrative costs and the actual cost of benefits rendered. Wouldn't you? Let's just take one problem, a real problem many veterans are facing today, their debt ratio. Many veterans are being buried under debt. True. This is also a problem facing non-veterans, but I am doing what I can to expose the group closest to me, veterans. I now have a very simple solution to this problem, and when I write agencies, all I ever get back from these agencies are meaningless form letters. Here's a problem for veterans. Debts to many companies, the sum of which is greater than the income of the veteran. One answer, of course, is bankruptcy. But it is not the answer most veterans would like to embrace. They want to pay off their debts. They are honorable men and women who, not trained in financial matters, made some financial errors. As I said, I did in my naive way suggested a very simple solution. Help the real veterans to pay off the debts in a real way. Keep politics out of this. Here's my solution. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Stop creating programs that are designed more to generate paper and less to help people. Government employees that are there to help veterans should push more people and less paper. Number 1, track down all veterans and make them aware of the benefits being offered. This should not be difficult since, as it has been revealed, the United States government knows more about everybody everywhere. Let's put that spying and database to good use. Number 2, keep it simple. The first question is the obvious one. Are you a veteran? Yes or no? If no, that is the end. Let the recipient go elsewhere for help. If yes, then let the individual verify with branch of service, name, address, email, address, phone number, maybe social security number. The rest of the information you can get from your massive database. Number 3, do you need help? Yes or no? If no, don't waste time and just end the questionnaire. If yes, then find out where the most help is needed. And number 4, specify where the most help is in fact needed. Food, clothing, shelter. With tens of thousands of empty houses available, certainly it makes sense to refurbish and give veterans homes. Health issues, and many veterans are simply overwhelmed with their health issues. Debt burden reduction, increase in education, employment issues, business startup. Yes, veterans make for very good entrepreneurs, and so on. Once the greater need is identified, then make the caseworker earn their keep by helping the veteran more and pushing paper less. Again, back to the burden of overwhelming debt. Many veterans are overwhelmed with debts. The solution is simple. Solve it. Solve it by combining all the veterans' debts. Once the debts have been consolidated, offer a lower interest rate for a longer period and get repaid from the veteran's retirement check or Social Security. Include a life insurance policy to make sure that the taxpayer is not burdened with repayment should the veteran die. I know that banks would hate this since they would rather charge veterans 30% interest rate with the blessings of politicians being influenced by the banks. But wouldn't it be nice to do something for the vets rather than catering to the banks? As for the standard comeback to my suggestion, there are already millions of programs to help the vet. Well, that's the problem. Too many useless programs. I personally do not know of any debt consolidation program designed to honestly help the vet. Do you? So, whether or not there are a million programs, if I don't know about them, they do not exist. As you can tell, I do not have all the answers. As a matter of fact, many of my solutions seem naive and far too simplistic. But I have started the conversation, and there is strength in numbers. You, I'm sure, have some better ideas. Share them. And while you're at it, share this videos with all your friends, and let's get some real solutions for the veterans. Agreed? Pass it on.